Hey there. Have you ever found yourself sitting at home, watching the days slip by, and wondering if there's something more out there waiting for you? Maybe you've caught yourself thinking, I'd love to get out more, but I'm not sure where to go or who I'd go with. If that rings a bell, you're not alone. A lot of us over 60 feel that little itch to shake things up, to find a spark that makes each day feel a bit more alive. Well, I've got something for you to consider: joining a senior club or group. I know, it might sound like just another thing to add to the calendar, but trust me, it's so much more than that. It's a chance to laugh, connect, and rediscover parts of yourself you might have forgotten were there. Now, you might be wondering why this matters, especially at this stage of life. After all, you've raised families, built careers, and earned your quiet moments. But here's the thing, those quiet moments can sometimes stretch a little too long, and before you know it, they're not so relaxing anymore. Senior clubs and groups aren't about filling time, they're about filling your life with people, purpose, and a bit of fun. Whether it's a card game with new pals, a gardening crew that swaps tips over coffee, or a walking group that explores the neighborhood, these gatherings are like a warm invitation to step back into the world on your terms. In this video, we're going to chat about all the ways joining one of these groups can brighten your days. Think new friendships, a boost to your health, and even a chance to share all that wisdom you've gathered over the years. So, settle in with me, and let's explore this together. First off, let's talk about the people you'll meet. One of the biggest gifts of a senior club is the company it brings. I know it can feel like making friends gets harder as we get older. Maybe some of your old crew has moved away, or life's just gotten quieter than it used to be. But walking into a group of folks who are in the same boat as you? That changes everything. These aren't strangers for long, they're people who get it, who've lived through the same ups and downs you have. You might sit down for a game of bridge and end up swapping stories about the grandkids, or join a book club and find someone who loves the same old mysteries you do. It's not forced, it's natural, like picking up a conversation you didn't know you'd been waiting to have. Take my friend Joan, for example. She's 67, and after her husband passed, she spent a lot of time rattling around the house on her own. One day, she saw a flyer for a local senior knitting group and thought, well, I've got nothing to lose. She hadn't knitted since she was a kid, but she showed up anyway. That first day, she was nervous, hands shaky, dropping stitches left and right. But the woman next to her just laughed, handed her a cup of tea, and said, "Don't worry, we're all a mess at first." Now, Joan's not only got a stack of scarves to show for it, but she's got a standing lunch date with that same woman every Tuesday. She told me, "I didn't realize how much I missed just talking to someone who understands." That's what these groups can do, they open the door to connections that feel easy and real. And it's not just about the big friendships, sometimes it's the little moments that stick with you. You might chat with someone about the best way to grow tomatoes or trade a recipe for that pie you've been perfecting since the 70s. Those small exchanges add up, and suddenly, you're not just a face in the crowd, you're part of something. It's a quiet kind of belonging, the kind that doesn't demand much but gives you a lot back. You don't have to be the life of the party, you just have to show up. And when you do, you'll find that these folks aren't so different from you, they're looking for a laugh, a story, a reason to get out of the house too. Now, let's shift gears a bit and talk about how these groups can do wonders for your health. I'm not talking about running marathons or lifting weights, though if that's your thing, more power to you. No, this is about the kind of health that comes from moving a little more, smiling a little wider, and feeling like you've got a purpose. When you join a club, you're not just sitting still, you're out there, whether it's strolling with a walking group, planting flowers with a gardening team, or even tapping your foot to music at a dance night. It's gentle, it's fun, and it keeps you going in ways you might not even notice at first. My neighbor Bill is a perfect example. He's 71, and he used to spend most of his days in his recliner, flipping through channels. Then he heard about a senior bowling league, not the fancy kind, just a laid-back group that meets once a week. He hadn't bowled in decades, but he figured he'd give it a try. The first time, he barely broke 50, but he came home grinning ear to ear. Now, he's there every Wednesday, and he swears his knees don't creak as much as they used to. He says it's not just the bowling, it's the cheering, the joking, the feeling like he's got somewhere to be. That's the trick. These groups get you moving, but they wrap it up in so much fun you forget it's good for you. So, we've covered how senior clubs can bring new faces into your life and give your health a little lift. But there's more to it. There's a way they can tap into all the amazing things you've learned over the years and let you share them with others. Let's dive into that next, because you've got so much to offer, and these groups are the perfect place to let it shine. You know, there's something really special about how senior clubs can get you moving and laughing with new friends. It's like they're breathing a bit of fresh air into your days. But let's take it a step further and talk about how these groups don't just give you something to do, they give you a chance to share who you are. Over the years, you've picked up so much, whether it's how to fix a leaky faucet, whip up a mean batch of cookies, or tell a story that has everyone hanging on your every word. That's not just experience, that's gold. And in a senior club, you've got the perfect spot to pass it along, to let all that wisdom you've gathered shine in ways that feel good for you and everyone around you. Picture this: you join a group, maybe it's a cooking club or a woodworking circle, and someone's struggling with a recipe or a tricky cut. You step in, not because you have to, but because you've been there. You show them that little trick you learned decades ago, and suddenly, their face lights up. It's not about showing off, it's about that quiet moment where you realize you've still got something to give. I think sometimes we forget how much we know. Life's been busy, and maybe it's been a while since anyone asked. But in these groups, people notice. They lean in. They want to hear what you've got to say. And that feeling? It's like a warm hug from the inside out. I heard about a guy named Henry, who's 69 and joined a gardening club near his house. He'd spent years tending his backyard, so he knew a thing or two about coaxing roses to bloom. At first, he just went to dig in the dirt and chat, but then he noticed a few folks couldn't get their plants to thrive. He started sharing tips, nothing fancy, just stuff like how to prune or when to water, and pretty soon, he was the go-to guy for advice. He told me, "I didn't think I had anything special to offer, but seeing those flowers perk up because of something I said? That's worth more than I can tell you." That's what happens in these clubs. You don't just take part, you become part of the heartbeat of it. And it's not always about teaching, either. Sometimes it's just being there, bringing your own flavor to the mix. Maybe you've got a knack for making people laugh, or you're the one who remembers everyone's name and makes them feel at home. That counts too. These groups thrive on the little things we all bring: your patience, your stories, your way of seeing the world. It's like a potluck where everyone's got a dish to share, and by the end, you've got a feast you couldn't have made on your own. You're not just a member, you're a piece of what makes it work. And that's a pretty great feeling, knowing you're adding something no one else can. Now, let's talk about how these clubs can keep your mind buzzing in the best way possible. You've probably heard folks say that staying sharp gets tougher as we age, and sure, maybe the car keys go missing more often than they used to. But joining a group can be like a little tune-up for your brain, and it doesn't even feel like effort. Whether you're puzzling out a new card game, planning a group outing, or just keeping up with the chatter, you're giving your mind a workout without the sweat. It's not about cramming facts or passing tests, it's about keeping those gears turning, staying curious, and having a good time while you're at it. My friend Clara, she's 73, and she swears by her weekly trivia group. She joined on a whim after seeing an ad at the library, figuring she'd test her memory on old TV shows and history tidbits. She's not winning any championships, but she comes home every time with a story about how she stumped the group with some obscure fact from the 60s. She told me, "I feel like my brain's waking up again, I'm remembering things I didn't even know I forgot." And that's the trick. It's not about being the smartest in the room, it's about keeping your thoughts nimble and your spirit engaged. You're chatting, laughing, maybe even arguing over whether Elvis or the Beatles were better, and all the while, your mind's getting a boost. It's funny how something as simple as a club can do so much, isn't it? You start with a casual meetup, and before you know it, you're swapping know-how and keeping your wits sharp. But there's another layer to this, how these groups can wrap you in a sense of belonging that sticks with you long after you head home. Let's dive into that next, because it's one of the sweetest parts of the whole deal. You know, it's amazing how these senior clubs can turn into so much more than just a place to spend an afternoon. They become a little corner of the world where you're not just showing up, but really shining. We've talked about sharing what you know and keeping your mind humming, and that's all part of it. But there's something else these groups offer that's like the cherry on top, a sense of belonging that feels warm and steady, like slipping into your favorite sweater. Life can get a little lonely sometimes, maybe the house feels too quiet, or the days blend together more than they used to. But when you join a club, you're stepping into a circle where you're wanted, where you fit, and where you can just be yourself. Think about what it's like to walk into a room and have someone wave you over with a smile, like they've been saving a seat just for you. That's what these groups can feel like after a while. It's not about being the loudest or the busiest person there, it's about showing up and finding that the group's better because you're in it. Maybe you're the one who brings the extra deck of cards, or maybe you're just good at listening when someone's got a story to tell. Whatever it is, you start to feel that quiet comfort of knowing you've got a place here, a spot that's yours. And that's not something you can buy or fake, it grows naturally, week by week, laugh by laugh. I've got a friend, Ed, who's 70, and he found that kind of connection in the most unexpected way. He joined a photography club because he'd always liked snapping pictures, even if they were just of his dog or the sunset out back. He wasn't sure he'd stick with it, thought maybe he'd be too rusty with his old camera. But the group welcomed him in, and soon they were asking him to lead a walk to find the best spots around town. He told me, "I went from feeling like an outsider to feeling like they'd miss me if I didn't show up. It's been years since I felt that." That's the magic of it, you don't have to try too hard, you just keep coming back, and suddenly, you're part of the family. And that belonging doesn't just stay in the room, it follows you home. You start looking forward to the next meeting, thinking about what you'll say or what you'll bring. It's a little anchor in your week, something that pulls you out of the everyday rut and reminds you there's a crew out there who's got your back. It's not about needing a crowd around you all the time, it's about knowing you've got people who'd notice if you weren't there. That's a comfort that can lift your spirits even on the grayest days, and it's one of the sweetest things these clubs can give you. So, as we wind down, let's bring it all together. Joining a senior club or group isn't just about filling an hour, it's about finding friends who get you, staying active in body and mind, and sharing the incredible stuff you've learned along the way. It's about feeling like you belong, like you've still got a role to play. And the best part? It's so easy to start. Look around, your local library, community center, or even online groups are full of options, from card games to crafts to just sitting down for a good chat. Pick one that sounds fun, take that first step, and see where it takes you. You don't have to commit forever, just give it a try and let it surprise you. I'd love to hear what you think about this. Have you ever joined a club, or is there one you've been eyeing? Drop a comment below and let me know, I'm all ears for your stories. If this little chat sparked something for you, give the video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so we can keep talking about ways to make every day a bit brighter. Because here's the thing, you've got so much life left to live, and these groups are just one way to grab it with both hands. Here's to finding your people and making every moment count. Cheers to that.